I'm wanting to feel empowered and clear about money and my work or my calling as I go into self-employment. I'm a singer-songwriter teacher. I'm doing several activities and singing and workshops that I love. But a few months ago, I also took an expensive real estate investing course to learn how to buy and sell properties profitably. The tuition is on a credit card. I feel pressure about it, discouraged that I haven't so far succeeded in coming up with a property to buy and no income from that. And I also do some other artistic areas. But I think I have a long-held belief that I know how to earn money if I'm doing something ordinary. But when I do the things that I really love, I have this feeling that I never can earn very much money from that, wanting to feel empowered about money.
The starving artist concept.
I think that's right.
Let's just get after that a little bit here.
Okay.
I want to earn money. I want money to flow to me. But I don't want to do traditional things to get it. So I don't want relative to money. I want it, but is sort of what's going on. We started to ask you the question, what does your receiving of dollars have to do with what you're doing? And we really think that's worth addressing, because you're right. You believe, most do, that I get dollars in exchange for something. And your society teaches you that some things pay more than others. And when you're comparing skills versus receiving, while there is some variable, it's all pretty much the same when you are counting on action for any of it. In other words, whether you're making $5 an hour or $150 an hour or $500 an hour, it's still minuscule return on time. Now, that might sound startling to you, but we're really wanting you to feel with us the difference between what I can pound out in action and what comes as a result of alignment. And what you can pound out in action could have a variable of $5 to $500 an hour, so to speak, but that's still minuscule return. And so we want you to put all of that into the category of depending on action. And now we want to step out of the action category, which, by the way, includes all courses you would take. It includes all buying and selling of anything. It includes all exchanging of time and energy for dollars. In other words, let's put that all in one category and let's table it and call it action, return, and let's minimize it in our mind just for a little bit. And now let's talk about the fortune that you have amassed in vibrational escrow through the living of life. And let's talk about what's required for you to receive that inheritance. It isn't taking another class. It isn't selling something. It isn't exchanging your energy for dollars. It's lining up with something that's already there, which means it's going with the flow of it. It's first accepting that it's there, next accepting that I'm deserving of it, and then just not doing that thing I do that keeps me out of it. So now you say, so I've taken a very expensive real estate course, and feel if that's an upstream statement or a downstream statement.
Upstream.
It really is, isn't it? That's why you made sure that you pointed out that it was very expensive. You didn't call it informative. You didn't call it life-giving. You didn't call it the future path to abundance. You called it a very expensive. And then you compounded it by saying, not only was it very expensive, but I charged it on my credit card. Which is uphill, 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 uphill.
Right.
And what would be anyone's motivation for paddling upstream? Think about upstream paddling as you know it to be. We sort of started there. What's the whole point of paddling upstream? Others are doing it.
Others
it's sort of what we do.
Feels familiar.
We want you to just Play with this idea of this upstream, downstream idea in your mind. And just ask yourself all day, every day, is that an upstream comment or a downstream comment? And if it's upstream, withdraw it immediately. I take that back.
Okay.
And I'm looking for a better one. Which is hard to find because my mouth is full of this one. But as you just stop and refuse to go that way for a while, you'll get better and better and better and better and better at that until it won't be any time at all, and you'll wonder what the problem even was. Yeah. When you say, I haven't been able to find a property that meets the criteria that I can keep for a while and turn over and benefit from, what you're saying is, I can't get started in this game because I've got too much resistance going on. In other words, well, what if I buy that and the value goes down and I actually am then worse off than I am now? What if I go into more debt and then can't sell it? And we say, isn't that an upstream comment? So what you want to say is, I'm looking for something that someone is ready to release that is less meaningful to them, but still meaningful to me and still meaningful to the market. Feel how that feels. And I know that there just must be a whole lot of property like that around where people have grown tired of it for one reason or another. It no longer is a match to their life, not because it's not a good property, but just because it's not a match to their life that is a perfect match to me. There must be thousands of properties around here that meet the criteria, and when I see one, I'll know it. And meanwhile, isn't it fun to look? And until I get the hit that it's the right one, I'm not going to buy it. But just because I don't have the hit doesn't mean I'm failing. I'm sifting and looking. That's what we do when we're good at this. We're discriminating. And I can be discriminating. I paid a lot for that course, and I got a lot of knowledge from it. I have a better understanding of real estate than I ever thought I would have, better than anybody I know has. Not only that, but I can feel the vibration of things. I can tell. I know that I'll be good at this, and I know that I can dabble in it or I can go full force into it, but I know I'll make money doing this. I know I will. And I don't have to do it this red hot minute. Meanwhile, I'm doing just fine. I'm just fine here. It's all working out for me. And feel how downstream that is, you see.
Those are wonderful.
And now, just with that much dialogue, you've begun to close the gap. You're moving in the right direction. And now you're vibrating in a whole different energy. Now different people who sell property you have access to. Now different properties that you didn't have access to in your uphill stream, now you have access to. In other words, you have access to things just because of this downstream shift that you did not have access to before. And as soon as tomorrow, evidence will show itself to you, you see.
Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
I love to try to relate the teachings that you have to others. And I mean no offense, but sometimes when I try to explain who Abraham is, and I say that Abraham is a group of ascended beings, their eyes glaze over. And I have to keep talking so that they can listen to me about the messages.
What does ascended mean? Are we ascended? We're not sure where you got that terminology. We've never said it, and it has never been written about us anywhere.
Really?
You must have made that up.
I might. Do you think? Honest? That's not how you describe yourself? I wonder where I did get that.
Well, we could start, if it's all right with that man who doesn't like the word want.
That's interesting. So I guess one of my questions is it important if I'm trying to relate your work, your messages, is it important that I always give acknowledgement that this is a message from Abraham, or is it good enough just to share the information?
It isn't important that those that you're wanting to reconnect with their broader perspective understand anything about law of attraction even, or about the stream, or about the non-physical, or about the label of the one who is expressing it in a way that you hear it. But what is important for them to understand is how their own guidance system works. In other words, there are many people who have said to Jerry and Esther, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to leave you out of it because, frankly, your weird process will freak out my readers. Well, they're not quite that blunt. And they don't use the word ascended, but they all mean about the same thing. And what we say about that is that you've got to accept that you are source energy in a physical body, and that your life has caused that non-physical part of you to be something more before you can even begin to understand why you have emotion at all. In other words, the whole world is running around comparing this to this and this to this and this to this, and they are not having success in that sort of comparison. This inner work that you are wanting to teach must be predicated on the understanding that I am more than I know in this physical body. So we do not think that it serves you or anyone to leave us out of the story.
Okay.
In other words, we bring the understanding of the expansiveness that you are and the eternalness that you are into a comprehensive format, you see. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're asking, can you teach this without crediting us? We suppose it doesn't matter at all. In other words, we are that which we are, and there is no shortage where we are. And we don't feel any of that from you. But there are some who say, I'm going to write a book, and I'm not going to point back to where I received my inspiration. And while that does not hurt us at all, and it does not hurt Jerry and Esther at all, because their vortex is open and they are thriving, we don't know anyone who can tell a story different than they know it to be without paddling upstream. Mm-hmm. And when they paddle upstream, they block their own resources.
So here is my question in a nutshell. How should I describe you? How should I preface? How should I explain?
So as you're talking to another person, you say to them, I've come to know that we are, you and I, we are more than we usually think that we are. And I now know that I was something before I was in this physical body. A lot of people call it soul or source or God. And I get that, say to them. And now I understand that that part of me made the decision to come here, and I'm so glad, because the variety causes me to continue to identify who I am and what I want. And I believe that every time I come to an awareness just through the living of life, that broader part of me that lived before I came here, that still remains non-physically focused, that broader part of me embraces fully the new ideas that life has caused me to live and stands there in the fullness of that, calling me toward it. And I think that that's what inspiration is. Inspiration is the feeling of me letting me continue to be that which I have become. Say to them, I used to think that God was all finished and perfect, and that I was sent here on trial to be tested, and that I was to jump through the hoops, and if I got it right, then I'd get to return to God. And now I understand that I am that source energy. I'm the furthest most extension of that source energy, and that my life causes that which I have always called God to expand. And so when I live something that causes that expansion of what I like to call God, some like to call it that, some don't. What I like to call God, you'll say. And I don't let myself keep up to speed with it. I feel crummy. And they might say, what do you mean? And you might say, well, for example, when I see someone who's not doing well in life, I automatically wish for them to do better. And I believe that the source part of me sees them doing better and holds that thought powerfully. And so I've seen someone who I wish to be doing better, and source says, we agree. We will see that person doing better too. So now source is somewhere holding the vibration of this improved life for this person. And when I look back and I say, oh, You poor person, you're still in the same wretched place. I violate my own desire, and I don't go to the thought that I have given to God to think. And I feel despair. I feel sadness. I feel sorry.